Hey guys, welcome back to the Thrive Podcast. This is episode 2, and today I am joined by my friend Molly Emerick. And on her journey, she has been through some major weight loss, including 120 pounds lost in a year and a half. And along that way, she's also struggled with addiction. So we're going to be diving into her journey a little bit, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Thrive Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
We're just going to chat back and forth for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I prefaced you a little bit with the question that I'm going to ask just to prepare you. And that question is, what experience in your life do you feel like has shaped you or challenged you or changed you the most?
Right. Well, I feel like I've been through a lot in my 47 years.
Definitely.
I think the biggest thing that has impacted my life the most has been my problems with addiction, alcohol, drugs, food, shopping.
All of the above.
Covers the gamut, yeah. Back when I was 30 years old, I had a really terrible life experience with drinking and with drugs, and my family intervened. And that was the beginning of my amazing journey with recovery. And I've been to 4 treatment centers. Not something that I'm very proud of, but it has been an amazing experience. And I've learned so much about myself, my character defects, things to celebrate about myself. And I have come a very long way. And I think in October, I'll have 3 years of sobriety.
Wow. So, that's amazing. Yeah. That's crazy because that'll be the anniversary of my business being open for 3 years too.
Oh, cool.
That's crazy.
Nice.
I didn't realize it was around the same time. I don't think we ever talked about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, I definitely want to dive into that part of your journey a little bit, but I'm going to put that on pause for a second.
All right.
And can you just kind of introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us what you're doing, where you've been beyond the addiction and the weight loss.
I'm originally from Yakima, Washington, and I am a school teacher. Right now I'm teaching middle school. I grew up in Yakima, went away to college, traveled with a company called Up With People when I was 19. So world travel for a year, which was great. Opened my eyes to the world, and lived in Hawaii and California, and then moved back to Yakima to start teaching in 2007, and fallen in love with my career. I love it. I mean, we all have good days and bad days, I guess.
Definitely,
but,
yeah.
But I do love what I do. And so 4 years ago, I met Frank and moved over here, and that's it. I've just been long-term subbing and met you and started my journey.
That's the best part right now.
Yeah. Started my journey with weightlifting and really getting into health and building my body, and it goes hand in hand. The recovery process is so hard. And it's important to take care of myself physically too, because it just goes hand in hand. So
it does.
Yeah.
And that's partially why I designed this podcast, is it's around those big 3, right? We talk about the mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
And for me, even in the fitness industry, this, and I try to talk with all of my clients about it to some extent, but I do believe that all of those things balance each other out. If one of those is out of alignment, it's going to affect everything
Absolutely.
else. So, and I feel like for your journey, I've seen you come so far in the time that I've known you, which is, I remember you walking through the doors and it's you weren't nervous, but it was I don't know about this. I'm not really sure. You had tried some classes at the Y and you didn't really know what to expect. And then within the first month or two, you fell in love with it.
I did.
And then, I feel like I've seen your mindset transform in so many ways. And I'm sure that has to do with your AA program and all of that too.
Right.
But you just really taking care of your physical health, I think, jump started that.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I couldn't live without it, you know?
Right.
It's just such a daily part of my life, and it makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super happy to have you as a friend and a client.
Yeah.
It's been awesome to watch that
you.
transformation. Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to that addiction story that you were talking about. Maybe go back as early as you can remember and kind of just talk to me about that.
My addiction the addiction process in my life, I think, started with food as a young age and a young little girl. I would go into eating it was a comfort for me. It made me feel better. And you know, just as a child, I was gaining weight, and of course, I started comparing myself to my brother and sister and other people around me, and that self-confidence just plummeted, you know. And as I grew into my teenage years, I found alcohol, and that was liquid confidence, and went through some really scary experiences as a teenager and a young person with alcohol and drugs, and it never stopped me from doing those things. It just drove me more forward to go deeper into the abyss. And the combination of addiction and overeating, I was in a black hole. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I talk about this black hole like I didn't have anything inside me. You know, I had no. I don't really know how to explain it.
Is it like this? Because was there depression associated with this?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I went through my own cycle of depression, and what I felt was more of like a third body experience.
Yes.
Like you're not, it's what is the word? Dissociation.
Yeah.
You're kind of just floating above yourself and you see everything happening, but you're like, I'm not really here.
That sounds
would
about
that kind
right.
of describe it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably goes along with the depression.
It does. Yeah. And the more I was upset, the more I ate or used, you know, and I started creating this lifestyle around those things and starting to hide food so that people wouldn't see me eat, you know. And I would binge and purge, and I suffered from bulimia for a long time, and I still do today. Like I have to consciously, you know, like not eat too much. I did have weight loss surgery back in 2017, and I've, you know, lost a lot of weight, and that was about the time that I was going through recovery, you know, in and out of recovery, because that's kind of how it works. Like I only have today, you know what I mean? So it's just been a lot. It's just one addiction feeds another, you know, and I wasn't able to get out of it until I went to treatment and finally got some answers and some help for myself.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions just surrounding that. Yeah. If you had to pinpoint it to one or maybe a few things when everything started, what do you feel like that would be?
Like why it started?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think it all stems from childhood, and that's the easy answer, I guess.
Right. But more specifically, like into childhood, like what about childhood?
I think that my family, my parents, held us to a expectation that we had to look and act a certain way. I come from a very lovely family, and I'm very blessed that I have such a wonderful family. But there were expectations. You had to look a certain way. You had to do certain things. Yeah. And it was surrounded around money, you know, and anyway, I just wasn't falling into those expectations. And then I started comparing myself to my sister, and that was a big thing, you know, like my sister, 6 years older, was beautiful and skinny and, you know, was into sports and was a ski racer and had boyfriends. And
wow, that's a lot to live up to.
Yeah. And so it just, you know, and then I was around my friends and they were beautiful and skinny, and it was just feeding this monster inside me. Like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't pretty enough. You know, and then once when I was 12, I guess, I took that first drink of alcohol, and it changed everything. It changed everything. I looked in the mirror and suddenly I was this amazing, beautiful queen, you know?
Right.
And
it's so pretty today.
Yeah. You know, his eyeliner's like, you know, falling off my face. But
yeah,
I think everything, my whole addiction problem has stemmed from my childhood and the weight thing, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think a lot of childhood stuff for people, and it's coming out a lot more nowadays because there's more information on it.
Right.
But I think it's really underrated in adulthood. Like people don't talk about it. They don't recognize it. They don't even think
they throw it off like, oh, I was just a kid.
Right.
You know?
And
like
it's like,
it wasn't
no,
that
but
serious.
Your kid years, like being a kid is so formative with everything else. Like for me, like in my faith, I'm like that's a huge formation in how you view God. Even it's how you view love.
Yes.
Like, all of these foundational things that you're developing. And I always tell people, I'm like, every single person has PTSD from being a kid. I don't care if you have good parents or not. Like, there's always something that's gonna like trigger you or like push you the wrong way. 'Cause
Totally.
you can't choose the family you're born into, right? So like, you're not gonna be a perfect fit, and you have to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there was a lot of pressure from your parents in certain aspects. Was it just financial, or was it kind of?
No, I mean, the financial part, like my father was very successful. And so we had things that were very nice. You know, we had a boat, we were able to travel, we went skiing, you know, and very blessed, you know, and had many opportunities. Even when I was the summer after 4th grade, my mom found a weight loss camp in California, and sent me for 9 weeks down to Southern California,
oh my goodness.
You know.
That'd be so hard as a kid.
Well, and I was excited, you know, to make the change. But again, pressure. Like, it wasn't a very cheap camp, you know. And so they were expecting me to come home and do these things. And, you know, as a kid, you're like, I don't know. I don't go in the kitchen and cook.
Especially
you know?
4th grade. Yeah. Very young.
And so it just, I don't know. It just the pressure from my mom, you know, perfect little lady with her makeup and hair every day, and it's just a lot of expectations that were hard to fulfill.
Expectations are the silent killer for sure in anything.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a lot, especially on someone that's what 4th grade is how old? Like, I always forget. I think 6th grade is around 12. So maybe like 10, 9, 10. Wow. That's crazy. I
know.
mean, I think for me too, when I went through my eating disorder, which was the opposite of yours, anorexia, where it's like you don't eat.
Right.
I think those feelings probably started around that age too.
I know.
Like 11, 12, 10. Yeah, definitely.
Such a hard time in kids' life.
It is, because especially for girls, we develop a little bit earlier, right?
Oh my gosh.
So you start dealing with the hormones.
The hormones, yes.
It's awful, and
the
I didn't
way
even go to
the
public
body
school.
changes,
like, so I didn't have friends.
Right, right.
Okay.
It was a lot of pressure too from friends, you know, because we'd go do things and
it is,
you know, they would eat certain things or do certain things, and
and you're like, you lose weight by eating that. Like, what the heck?
I remember, this is kind of a side thing, but I remember looking at my friend. She was wearing jeans when I was young, and I looked at her stomach and I was like, how do you not have indentations from the jeans on your skin? Like, you know what I'm talking about? And
that
I was like,
mark,
and I remember that, like, how much I was like, I wish that I could wear jeans and not have huge red indentations from the belt part, you know, like. So it was just constantly in the forefront.
It's just dumb little things that you pay attention to, where it's like, you don't even think about that now necessarily.
Right.
It's like,
exactly.
who even cares?
Yeah.
But you like zone in on every little detail. It's insane. Well, I like that aspect though, in some ways. I believe everybody has a story for a reason, right? And the aspect that you come from a family that is very well off, because I think there's a lot of stereotypes around that, where people who come from well off families are just like, they have everything, right? Like, they have no need to feel a certain way. It's like, no, that is still very real, because you can feel, and in some ways probably almost more so, because there is so much pressure, versus someone who's coming from not so well off. It's like, well, your parents can't afford to do anything anyway. So that's crazy.
And they were unstated expectations, you know, and so it's kind of like you're trying to almost figure it out, like, is this what they want, or is this what they want? And and
I think that's part of the problem though, is that like, there is no communication around it. Like, I'm sure nobody ever told you that you're a failure, or you're like, you know, nobody ever says that to your face. It's just assumptions. That's
the unsaid things were the big things.
The unsaid expectations, for sure. I think it's with any relationship though.
Of course.
Okay, so going to the next part of your journey, I guess talk to me about when the addiction was really bad for you. What did that feel like?
It started with a relationship, a man, a boy,
surprise,
I guess,
surprise.
you know, surprise, surprise. And it was the first time in my life that I had experienced like honest, true love. And it scared me, because I had never fallen in love with anybody before, except, you know, my family that I, you know, of course loved. But this was a whole different type of love, you know, and it was exciting. And I was actually sober when I met him. And I was, I think, like a year sober. It happened really fast. He moved in like 2 months after we met.
Oh, wow.
You know, the honeymoon phase started, and he was a heavy drinker. and I didn't know a drug user as well, and I had
Wow.
no idea. And so many nights of him drinking, you know, and then eventually using in front of me. I picked up too, you know. I just said, you know, screw it. I'm in this relationship, and he's not going to tell me to not do it because he's doing it.
Right.
So I started drinking again, and that led to some drug use that I'm very embarrassed about and very shameful about. And this went on for a good 10 years, this
Wow.
relationship. And it was on and off, on again, off again. And it was including a lot of domestic violence, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, lots of blackmailing, jail time, which I'm
Wow.
embarrassed about.
That's crazy.
Almost, you know, losing almost losing my life, really, being strangled, and
Wow.
it was awful. It was hysterical, and yeah.
That's
I
insane.
mean,
I don't think I knew about that part. I think you had mentioned your relationship a little bit before, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, and the cycle of abuse. You know, something happens with the abuse, and then you know everything's fine.
Yeah.
And you accept him back, and then it happens again, and
awful.
you
I know.
expect things to change, and maybe they do for a little bit, but then it's just right back to. Anyway, and I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't.
No, those are so hard.
I would go to treatment, and I would say no more of him, and then, you know, 3 months later, I was picking up the phone, and then I was drinking again or using again, and
Yeah.
and through this whole time, I was teaching. Unfortunately,
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
very embarrassed to say that, you know. And it created this whole altered life thing where I was one thing during the day, and then I come home and I was somebody else at night. And I was hiding and lying and to everybody around me, and especially my family. You know, I finally started lying to them that I wasn't seeing him because they knew that he was such, you know, bad news.
Right.
And so for years, like 5 years, my parents didn't know. I lied. I just kept this whole facade going. You know, I mean, it makes me like nauseous talking about it, like
know.
having to go to work after being up all night and being in front of those kids. And
I
it
don't even
just
know how you do it.
breaks my heart that I would do something like that, you know?
Right.
And anyway, it got so bad. I think the finale is, you know, when I got arrested and put in jail overnight, and everybody's bottom is different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
I didn't end up on the streets, you know, homeless. I didn't ever hurt anybody, but my bottom was going to jail for a night, and I didn't get charged with anything, bless the Lord, but I could have.
Yeah.
And it would have ruined my career and my life.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have
100%.
gone on to live, of course, but you
Yeah,
know,
there's so many things you can't do with that
I
type of
know.
track record.
So after that, I went to treatment a fourth time, and it worked again. You know, of course, the AA program has always been my rock. You know, I know that it always works, and if you do it right. And so I did, and I just try to do it every day, every minute. I have to struggle and do it. You know.
Wow.
So yeah, I think the last 10 years have just been my last 10 years of using and drinking were the worst by far. You know, yeah.
So you got out of it, you said 3 years ago, like officially.
Drinking.
Yeah, just that whole like, yeah.
Yeah.
being
Well, I moved here 4 years ago.
okay.
And that's when, I got out of treatment and I moved here. So
Right,
4
but you've been
years.
sober for 3 years is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a relapse.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is probably normal for
Yeah.
most people at some
Yes.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long were you in all of that? Like if you had to guess from when you started with drinking to like being sober.
No. Well, since I was like, my first drink was when I was 11 or 12.
Oh, wow.
And then until now I'm 47. So what's the math? I can't even, my brain's so little. 40, 44, is that right? 45, 46, 47, 43, I guess. So 11 years old to 43 years old, you know?
Wow.
And it might happen again. I don't know. You know, in my program, it's like you don't sit on the future. You don't
Right.
You can't
Just
count
take it
on
a day at
it,
a
you
time,
know?
yeah.
So it's just 5 minutes at a time sometimes,
Right.
you know? So,
So you said you feel like the turning point for you was when you went to jail.
yeah.
What was going through your head at that point? Like, why do you think it was bottom for you?
Just the disappointment from everyone around me, and that I'd worked so hard for my career and the reputation, you know, and it was gone. And you know, that's one of my big character defects is like making sure that I save face, you know, and making sure that everybody looks at me the right way, you know, that
Right.
the reputation is unwavered. And yeah, so getting, and the worst part about that night is I had blacked out and I don't even know what I did. I mean, now I do, but that night as I went into jail, I had no idea. You know, I woke up basically in the back of a cop car. I came to, and I knew I was not supposed to be there.
Right, right.
So yeah, I think about that night a lot. And it makes me sick and sad, but I'm almost grateful for it because it snapped me out of it. And it's good to remember those times because it keeps me stronger and it reminds me of why I am sober every day.
Yeah.
You know?
And appreciate it more too.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. So what point do you feel like, how would I word this question? I guess like when do you feel like was the biggest turning point for you past that? Like you went into AA after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess let's say like, what was your experience with the AA program?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I first got into the program, I was amazed that they knew me. It's like there's this book, right? The big book of AA, and it's like I picked it up for the first time, and the first part I read of this book was there's a story about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I was like, holy crap, this is like me. How did they write a book about me? And it's old. It's from like the 40s or something,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
like. It's crazy, and the mindset that is in this book, and I just kept reading and reading that. My God, it's like, you know, I think that I can change my behavior, and then I just don't. I keep doing the same things, and it's like, you know, that's the definition of crazy. You know, you expect things, but you keep doing the same thing. You know, and I loved AA the first time, you know, and it was a whole new world that was open to me, and the fellowship that I got through the program has just been amazing. You know, that 10 years of that using and drinking. I mean, I used and drank my whole life, you know, but those 10 years were really the big part of my using. And I just totally had a brain fart. Oh my gosh. I just lost train of thought. Oh, the AA program. Excuse me. Oh, my brain after teaching.
I hate it when that happens.
So yeah, the fellowship and all of that was great. And then of course the honeymoon phase from that comes down. They call it the pink cloud. You know, you're like all good and happy, and then all of a sudden like reality sets in, and you go back to work, and you know go back to day in day out, and I relapsed. You know, and I kept relapsing, and and that's when the negative thoughts about the program came in, and you stop talking to people, you isolate, you know, I mean, it's like you almost relapse before you pick up the drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even like with my food, you know, my diet, it's like, you know, you're going to do it. You know, it's like there's things that happen beforehand. So, you know, I've been in and out of believing in the program and not, you know, but I think the last 3 years, I have really come to the conclusion that this is the lifestyle that I want for the rest of my life. And if I had any other disease like cancer or anything like that, I would have to do things to keep myself healthy.
Right.
And so this is what I have to do every day to keep myself healthy. And if I stop, then the addict creeps in.
You know it's going to change again. Yeah.
So on the days I don't want to talk to anybody, I go talk to somebody. On the days where I'm upset, I am grateful for somebody. I call somebody and try to help somebody out. So I have tricks. I have lots of resources, you know, that I've learned. But this program has just completely changed me. inside and out. And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, I can tell. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I like the aspect too that you really brought awareness to like your triggers and the things that want to
Yes.
like suck you back down. It sounds like, you know, they talk about the 7 deadly sins. It's
Yes.
like almost like the 7 deadly triggers, or, you know,
Yes.
like wanting to just like, come on,
Absolutely.
Molly, like, you know,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And it seems like, I mean, speaking for myself I've only dealt with anorexia, but it's kind of something that has latched on you at a young age, and I don't feel like you ever truly shake it.
Right.
You just have better ways of handling
Yep.
it and getting through it and like
Yep.
talking yourself through that mindset. So what do you feel like are some ways that you do that for yourself now?
To help myself with the triggers.
You mentioned a couple already.
Yeah. Yeah. Exercise has been a huge one, you know. I have always tried, I've had the weight battle my whole life. And so I've always been in and out of trying new exercises, new diets, new fads. But really, being physically active is the biggest thing that I do to stay healthy, you know, mentally and physically. You know, other triggers that I've experienced are, you know, I'll get emotional with somebody, like a fight or something, and then I'll isolate, you know, or I won't talk about it. And then that continues on, you know, that's a big trigger. Overeating, you know, I mean, it really can be anything, you know, that sparks it. But some of the things I do to get my mindset out of it is pick up the phone and call as much as I don't want to. You know, I have a slew of phone numbers that I can call to just say, I'm having a day, or I'm having a moment, you know, talk to me. Or I call somebody and I say, Maddie, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you are such a good trainer, you know, to get myself out of the negative mindset, or go for a walk. Walking is huge for me.
Yeah.
To just change the mind, because
So positive things.
Because if I sit in it, if I sit in the shit, you know, it's just, excuse my language, but if I sit in the poop, it won't happen for me.
Yeah.
I gotta keep at it all the time.
Right. Yeah. As soon as you like plant into that, it just, it's like quicksand, like really just wants to suck you down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, you've been through a lot in your lifetime.
Yeah.
I can say that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to delve into the weight loss as well, but I do have one more question before that. So you mentioned moving to Walla Walla about 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard people talk about sometimes just changing your environment, because right, like getting out of rehab and all this stuff, and then they go back to the exact same thing before. Like, do you feel like Walla Walla kind of helped you do that?
Yes. So in my past, they call it geographic relocation in the program.
Okay.
Where, I'll just move away from this place and go somewhere else and it'll fix everything.
Right.
And I did it a million times, you know, city to city, place to place, school to school, whatever. And it never worked. And so, yes, when you are in treatment, they do push, relocating to different environment, you know, either going into a sober living facility, a sober living house, you know, like a halfway house.
Yeah.
Or Oxford House, as they call them, is a great option, you know, or just moving someplace else where you don't know anybody, you have no connections, you don't, you know, you can't pick up the phone and call Mr. Drugman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that moving here was the scariest thing I had ever done, because I didn't know this place at all. I only knew one person here, and we had only been dating a short time, and it was probably the stupidest decision to move here and move in with Frank.
Yeah.
I mean, the best decision I made, but the dumbest, because it could have gone the opposite. It could have, I could have, you know, not worked out with Frank, and then I start drinking again. Then I'm in this new place. I don't even have a teaching contract. You know, it could have gone upside down, but it didn't. And I take that positivity, that positive energy from that experience, and I remind myself of that every day. And I'm just so grateful to the universe and to God that it's worked out for me, you know? I mean, I still have bad days, but, you know, overall, it has been such an amazing change in my life. And I'm so grateful for Frank. I just love that man more than words, you know? And I don't know where he came from. Like,
a gift from
there
God.
has to be a higher power there, you know, that brought him into my life. And I wasn't sure at first, and I was scared to do that, but having true love is the most, I mean, there's no words, you know,
Yeah.
to fall in love and be secure and trust somebody to spend your
Yeah.
life with. And it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think that to have that, like you mentioned the word secure, to have that secure and safe space where it allows you to just be yourself and to
Exactly.
Because I think, again, speaking for myself, I don't feel like I've been able to truly change when I've been in environments where I feel unsafe.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
very
so
true.
having that, like that true love as you speak, like literally it sounds so cliche, but is truly life changing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wow, the amount that it allows you to open up and just
Right.
like relax
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I can address my triggers or my struggles,
Yes.
my issues, because I know that I'm going to be loved and accepted anyways. I think that's huge.
And
for a
you
lot of
can't do
people.
those things alone. Like
No.
you just can't. You can't go through life on your own. I mean, it's a need, you know,
Yeah.
it's one of the 3 needs, right?
Yeah.
And for a long time I tried to do it on my own and push everyone away and it never worked.
Right.
You have to have someone or people around you that
Yep.
love you and support you.
Yep. And in my world, like talking about the higher powers and stuff, like believing that there's a God and knowing that He orchestrates my life and other people's lives in certain ways, and there being that opposite power, which we refer to as the devil. It's like
Yeah.
he wants you to think those things. He wants you to think that, like, I have to do this alone. Like, nobody else wants to go through this with me. Nobody wants to be there for me. They're not going to love me if I have all this. And it's like all of those negative thoughts are like he's putting those into your head to literally just drag you down, because you
Right.
can't be useful to other human beings when you're in that position.
Exactly.
Right? Like you're harming
Exactly.
them. You're
Yes.
doing the opposite. So, yeah, that's super cool. I love that you've changed your mind to have a positive outlook over everything, though, to like appreciate what you've been through. And I think
Yeah.
you mentioned this to me the other day. You're like, I wouldn't change what I've been through, right? Because I've learned so much
Right.
from it, and I am the person that I am today because of it. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the weight loss just a little bit. I think we have, I'm not sure how much time we have left, maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, talk to me about the weight loss aspect, because it happened in the middle of it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, my highest weight was 280 pounds. I mean, I was huge. I was like a size 24.
I can't even imagine you.
I was like a size 24. I mean, these jeans that I mean, it's just crazy. I look at them sometimes and I'm like, God, I fit into these, like, just crazy.
Wow.
But, you know, it got to a point in the middle kind of that 10 years when I was using and drinking so much that I was this big. And of course I was lying to my family and I was keeping my job. You know, I was handling finances okay. You know, I mean, from the outside it looked okay. And my mom approached me about weight loss surgery and said, would this be something that you'd be interested in? And I was like, hell yeah, like bring it, you know? Right. And it took a while, you know, to go through the process and do that experience. But, once the weight started coming off, it was almost like it was natural for me to be active. Like
Right.
it just felt so good to shed the pounds and be smaller. And like, I remember looking in the mirror some days, like, is that me? Like, is that me? Like I looked so different so quickly.
Right.
And, yeah, it just changed me. But what didn't change was here, you know, and in here.
Yeah.
And forever I thought that if I could just lose weight and be skinny, I would be so happy. Like I have that statement written down in my journals.
Wow.
From when I was younger. And that didn't happen, you know? And so I knew something was wrong, really wrong with me,
Right.
you know? And with the stomach surgery, and drinking alcohol, it metabolizes fast. It metabolizes faster.
Yeah.
And you get drunker quicker.
Oh, dang.
With a smaller tummy, and of course, when I would drink, I wouldn't eat because they didn't want you drinking and eating at the same time because it would expand the stomach. So I was like, oh, I'll just drink and not eat. And so it got to be I was so unhealthy. You know, I was still losing weight, but I was just this. It just wasn't working. It just wasn't. And I was kind of like, what do you call it where you're skinny but you're fat? Like skinny fat?
Skinny fat, yeah, literally.
Kind of skinny fat. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, you know, and so anyway, you know, the weight came off, but here and here, I wasn't healthy. And again, starting the weightlifting journey has just been incredible. Like seeing the transformation in my body and the way it makes me feel inside. When I'm done, like it's like no drug can touch that.
Right.
No drug.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's a much healthier thing to chase than
Yes,
alcohol or
absolutely.
eating. Or, yeah. Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big part of your journey, though, I feel like.
It
And
is. It is.
Again, mentioning that eating disorder at the beginning, like the bulimia, like, again, that mindset is hard to shake. Do you feel like you've kind of gotten past that, or is it still there?
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. And I have to be very conscious of it. Yeah. I mean, it starts in the morning, you know, like I have to eat or I get too hungry and then I overeat and
Right.
then I sit in my fullness and it almost hurts sometimes, you know, because of the small stomach. And yeah, I sometimes do have to purge, you know, to make myself feel better, but it's not. No, I don't do it anymore. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's only lit if I, you know, feel sick, but
Right.
that hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
you recognize, like,
I do
patterns
recognize
and
the
stuff.
triggers and what I have to do. So, but it is a daily thing.
Yeah.
Like I have to be on top of it. You
Right.
know.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people think about disordered eating and stuff, is that it eventually is just going to go away. And
Yeah.
it's like,
No,
doesn't really,
no, it
like,
doesn't ever
you
go
can manage
away.
it better,
Right.
but it's almost like once it's there, like it's in your system,
is.
and it can be really frustrating.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mind is so powerful, you know, like
Exactly.
you can eat more of this and then just get rid of it. Like, you know what I mean? Things
Yeah.
like that. And so I really have to stop myself and be like, Molly, no, like take a break, you know, like just
Right.
pull away from the table for 2 minutes, you know, and let
Have a
things
little
settle.
conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what work do you feel like you've done around mindset? Because you've mentioned that a couple times.
Well, I think having a friend like you has been amazing because
you.
we have so many wonderful conversations about it. I think having Frank in my life, you know, and just talking every day about how I feel has changed how I feel.
It does.
You know,
It does. It's
and
crazy.
I still struggle with communication. I still stuff things. You know, like if I'm mad, I stuff it sometimes, and I've learned like that doesn't work good for me. I have to say it out loud, like I'm upset, or let's revisit this in a little bit. You know, like if I upset someone, you know, I go back and I say I'm sorry. You know, like I try to look at things with a positive viewpoint. You know, if you know, a silver lining, I guess, because it just makes the day go better.
It does.
If I sit in the poop, it will just take over, you
Yep.
know? So
it really does.
the positive mindset and the meditation and the praying happens a lot during the day,
Right.
you know,
Which is good.
not just
Those
in
are-
the morning when I wake
Yeah.
up, but the communication with my higher power is huge for me. And being grateful is huge for me.
It is. Gratitude is the foundation for so many things.
Yeah. And I know that that's a trigger too, that if I stop being grateful, I'd be drunk tomorrow. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's important.
Right. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I have a couple closing questions as
Sure.
we kind of finish this up.
Yeah.
But I didn't give you time to think about this, so hopefully
that's
you can
okay.
go with
It's
it.
okay on the
But,
spot.
I guess everything combined, because it is kind of two separate conversations. But if you were to go back to your younger self, what would you say to that person?
Well, Molly, you're going to go through a lot in your life. Be ready. Probably like give myself grace, you know, give myself time and love myself more. And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to be where you are because you're going to grow, you know,
Right.
you're not going to achieve perfection, but because there's no such thing, you know, that's a big thing I'd probably tell my little self is,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as perfection, but just take it as it comes, I guess, and be grateful for it.
Yeah.
you know?
Be grateful. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hearing a couple underlying things. It sounds like gratitude comes up a lot for you.
Yeah.
And then just like mindset in general. And then how else did you phrase that? Well, the perfectionism too.
Yeah.
I resonate with that a lot. I think that's where did you fall in line in your family again? Random
I'm the
question.
youngest.
The youngest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think there's a little bit of both. Like I'm the oldest, and I feel like I struggled with that a lot because there is a lot of pressure on the
Yes.
oldest child. But I think there's a lot of that on the youngest. I've seen it with both ends
Yeah.
because they're trying to keep up with everybody.
Right.
Like there's that pressure to be like, oh no, like everybody's achieved these things already.
Yes.
I'm behind. And it's like, no, you're not. You're totally normal.
Yes.
Like, so we could speak to both ends of the spectrum for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's really hard. Like perfectionism kills so many things because it stops you from even starting.
I know. And it's all up here. Yeah. It's all where the mind, I've learned so much that the mind is such a powerful thing.
It is so powerful.
I mean, if you just tweak it a little bit, it can change your circumstances and your perspective. Like, it's so powerful. And especially with working out and lifting, like it, if I don't want to go or I don't want to do it, it's like, just start the set. Like, just start it. And once you're 5 minutes in, your perspective will change. And
definitely. And
you can always hit the reset button anytime, the big red reset, like hit it, here we go.
Every day. Yeah. Well, not even every day, even more than that. Like every hour, every
Absolutely.
minute. Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, if you struggle with getting into the gym, like just tell yourself, I'm just going to walk in the door and sit in a chair. Like that's not that hard. Because it's much harder to walk out that door once you went and sat down.
Just like they say about the bed being made, It's harder to get back into a messy, or a made bed, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you would like to add?
I just want to say I appreciate it. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you and for Ben and for the opportunity to be in your life and feel your love and support, and feel like I've learned so much from you and gained so much. I know, my little sister.
Right.
But yeah, I love my life that I've created here, and you're such a big part of it. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
And same to you. It's been super cool, like I said at the beginning, to see your journey and just like get to know you as a person and go a little bit deeper. And I feel like you're such a joyful person, which is so...
thank you.
Yeah, I really do see that. Like every time you're just like,
you wouldn't have told me that like 10 years ago.
I mean, maybe not, but I don't know that version of Molly.
Exactly.
So, no, it's super awesome. And I love the person that you're becoming and who you are now. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. It was awesome talking to you, and thank you for sharing everything. That's a lot of deep stuff there, but I'm excited for people to listen to it.
Cool.
So, thanks for joining us for the Thrive podcast. If today's episode inspired you or helped you take one step closer to thriving, be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with someone that could benefit from this. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and keep thriving.